Overwatch sucks and I hate it. But Overwatch is one of my favorite games ever made. Overwatch is the video game equivalent of pulling out a splinter. It's an incredibly painful process, but it can still be pretty satisfying. For years now, Overwatch has been a total shit show with next to no content being released to make way for Overwatch 2. But Blizzard has only been drip feeding us information, because the only time the community gets updated about Overwatch 2 is when Blizzard gets into yet another PR disaster to save face. But finally, after years of Overwatch getting the TF2 treatment, I finally got my hands on Overwatch 2. So was it worth the wait, and does it justify having the 2 at the end of its name? Here's what I think. Also, keep in mind that the beta is for Overwatch 2, which is in fact a free PvP update to Overwatch 1 and not Overwatch 2, which shares the name of the PvP update, but is in fact a separate paid PvE campaign where you fight robot AI, not players. Rookie mistake, I know. One of the biggest changes is the reworks to multiple heroes, something I found interesting. All of the unique play styles and heroes in Overwatch is one of my favorite things about the game. I mean, look at Bastion. You want to play with a turret without going through the boring ass process of hitting it with a wrench? Overwatch says, okay, be the turret. Bastion at first seems simple, but he can actually be pretty dynamic. Learning what mode you need to use and when and adapting to the situation is what separates a good Bastion player from a bad Bastion player. But now we have Overwatch 2 Bastion. What does the new Bastion do? He runs around and shoots his gun, and sometimes you switch to the bigger gun and do the same exact thing. Bastion has had his turret status that made him a unique character completely ripped away from him in order to make his playstyle more generic. I mean, even his ultimate is boring now. Before you had tank mode, which turned you into a tank. This ultimate took strategy and practice to perfect, and rewarded you for good mechanical skill. Bastion's new ultimate, you look at the sky and then click on the map. Bastion's kit hasn't been the only one sacrificed to service Overwatch 2's more generic hero gameplay. Doomfist is a character that acts as a love letter to fighting games. Playing Doomfist feels like playing a round of Smash Brothers with your ability to do sick-ass combos and have awesome mobility and rollouts. Overwatch 2 Doomfist has had all of his combos removed and forces him to rely on his primary fire more, despite being a character called Doomfist. All of Doomfist's and even Bastion's new abilities are fine in a vacuum, and they're still fun characters to play. I'm just disappointed they've been retooled so heavily they're essentially different characters. I just hope if they do more reworks in the future, the character in question still gets to keep what sets them apart from the others. I think there's a golden mean between slight tweaks and completely changing a character's core identity. However, it feels like they did the exact opposite for Orisa. Orisa was a character that felt like they lacked an identity. Are they a shield tank? Are they a crowd control tank? Who knows? Her abilities were all over the place. But the new Orisa is so much better. Old Orisa sat behind a shield and spammed a minigun. New Orisa will get in your face and impale you to a wall with a javelin. Whoever designed Orisa's rework needs a raise. In Donkey's video on Overwatch 2, he railed on roll Q pretty hard. But I'm gonna have to slightly disagree, because I don't think roll Q is bullshit. This is bullshit. In Overwatch 1, over half the characters in the game are DPS characters, who are by far the most satisfying role for a majority of people. So if you want to play over half the characters in the game, I'm not exaggerating, you have to spend an equal or greater amount of time waiting to play the game than actually playing it. It seems like Blizzard went about trying to fix this for the beta. Oh geez, no one wants to play tank anymore. I know just what to do. Just get rid of them. You sure are a genius, John. Come on, let's go sexually harass our co-workers to celebrate. It just makes it all the more laughable that the queue times are even worse than before. Why did Blizzard think it was a good idea to have the first hero introduced be a damage character and not a support? I get the player base is smaller for the beta, but even still this is egregious. Now I have to wait 10 minutes for a match if I want to play 3/4 of the character instead of half, because now no one wants to play support. With one less tank to defend them and buffed DPS heroes, supports just get endlessly dived with little risk. It seems like Blizzard acknowledged this in their latest blog release, and they've even added changes to make supports more fun and independent. I love this new change to Zenyatta where you can kick people off cliffs. As his end main, I love this. Overall, I'm really hoping to see more of these kinds of changes in the future. Overwatch is one of the most toxic video games I've ever played, and I make TF2 videos. I've had so many matches devolve into endless bickering and infighting, which completely ruins the match. Here's a fun game I like to call, play Widowmaker for one round without being accused of throwing.
I'm surprised we were able to hold that. I think this is my first res of the game.
Thankfully, Blizzard has a fix for this. They implemented an endorsement level system that enables good behavior. Now, what does your endorsement level do? Once a month, you get like 2 loot boxes. Alright, I'm going back to saying the N-word. I don't see anything in the beta that suggests Blizzard is going to do anything about the toxic atmosphere the game creates. In fact, the new scoreboard shows all of your personal stats, which I fear will just cause teams to dogpile on underperforming players even more than they already do. Which concerns me, because the mute button is only capable of so much.
Select your hero.
You guys are stupid idiots.
I can't rail on Overwatch 2 for matchmaking because the only mode available right now is unranked casual. But if Overwatch 1 is anything to go by, I'm not excited. Overwatch 1's matchmaking is a total nightmare. Most matches are a total steamroll that's over the second it begins. And keep in mind, these matches can take over 6 minutes to get into. Loading up for a match only to get put in a 2CP match that lasts less than 2 minutes whether you win or lose is frustrating. There's matches where you roll so hard the entire enemy team leaves and gets entirely replaced, only for them to roll you right back. And don't even get me started on competitive mode. Overwatch's competitive mode is a total fucking joke. No one plays at the level they're supposed to. Smurfing is a huge problem in Overwatch. Playing at diamond rank and below is like signing up for the lottery, where wins aren't determined by the coordination and skill of each player, but rather which team has the smurf that carries harder. Not to mention, smurfing encourages players to throw matches. There are people who make a profit making a new account, throwing matches until they get to a low bronze rank, and selling the account to someone just so they can troll low-level players. In fact, people have programmed bots who do nothing but walk out of the spawn room and die, speeding up and automating the throwing process. There are so many schmucks doing these dumbass bronze to grand master challenges where they go from the lowest rank to the highest, ruining countless players' experiences along the way. This sure sounds like a serious issue that affects a lot of people's enjoyment of the game, right? Blizzard does not think so. Here is why Blizzard thinks that. In order to make a Smurf account, you need to buy a new copy of the game. I don't really know where to put all this, so I guess I'll just make it its own section. I don't like the new scoreboard in Overwatch 2. It feels too cluttered. Immediately, your eyes are pried in 2 different directions trying to see what heroes are on each team, and it's a bit too saturated and cluttered compared to Overwatch 1. This community-made scoreboard I found captures what I think Blizzard was going for. So take some notes, Blizzard, because this one's kind of an eyesore. I'm also scared because Overwatch 2 is an update and not a separate game. So Overwatch 1 as we know it is going to be completely erased with its arrival. Don't like 5v5? Too bad. Don't like the reworks? Too bad. Don't like the new maps? Too bad. However, I'm not too worried about this because there's a pretty easy solution to this. Just preserve Overwatch 1 in the state it currently is as a casual side mode called something like Overwatch Classic, and balance the game around all the Overwatch 2 stuff. I do say though, if we don't get something like this, I'd be kinda miffed, because even if Overwatch 1 is a flawed game, I don't want it to completely vanish. I don't want to seem like a total pessimist here, because there are quite a few things I do like about the beta. I've already mentioned I love Orisa's new rework. The new maps are gorgeous and fun. Sombra's hack no longer forces you to freaking reinstall the game. They reduced the number of CC abilities. Doomfist's new drip looks fresh as hell. And Sojourn is a great new addition to the game. Overall, I guess I'd say I'm cautiously optimistic about Overwatch going forward. But it's a bit disappointing to see the same things that turned me off from Overwatch 1 making a comeback in Overwatch 2. So if Blizzard really wants to impress me, here's what I want to see fixed. Make heroes feel more dynamic, fix queue times, fix the matchmaking, ban smurfing, fix the toxicity, fix the scoreboard, and for the love of God, put some shoes on Sigma's feet!
I'm already chasing.